Orthodontists, have you got call tracking? Are your calls and email leads being answered promptly, professionally and courteously? A call tracking solution keeps you in control and keeps you and your team accountable. Watch this video for the next 5 minutes. Nothing to buy. I'm selling nothing. Just how best to use call tracking and, more importantly, call recording. So I made a video previously, which you may have seen, and I go over 5 points for getting your conversions, more of them at a lower cost. And I wanted to really push the call tracking side of things. So my little headline here, call tracking, are your calls and email leads being answered promptly, professionally and courteously? A call tracking solution keeps you in control and keeps your team accountable. I thought this was worth going over as a separate video because this is the one where you can make the biggest wins for no extra cost. If you've got a call tracking solution, they're about $9,700 a month, and they give you so much information. But I'll just go over these points first, then I'll get onto that. Basically, as I said yesterday, I mentioned these points previously, but it's worth going over again. With a call tracking solution, you can point the phone number, because you're using a tracking number, at any number you want. So what I recommend is someone on your team that has a mobile phone that you can point this number to, and they have that phone with them, and their priority is answering that phone and answering those emails that land on that phone as fast as possible. If you can answer the phone in a couple of rings, and if you can respond to an email with a follow-up phone call within 10 or 15 minutes, you will get to speak to those people, and those people will know who you are. If you leave this, an answer machine gets it and you phone back a few hours later, it's almost a cold lead. If it's the same day, the lead is going to go cold. It really does need responding to as fast as possible. Point 2 here, no answer machines, no call trees or automation. Answer the phone. If a person can answer the phone, the likelihood of you getting them to become a consult is huge incremental degrees of yesness. Incremental degrees of yesness. Basically, as soon as someone hears a machine, as soon as someone hears, say, press this for this, press this for this, they're going to be put off. They want to speak to someone. So use a separate phone number. If you can use 2 phone numbers, even better. So have the first number go to that mobile that I suggested that someone has with them. And then if that's not picked up within 3 rings, it goes to another phone so someone else can ring them, just in case that first person is busy. And again, I'm not being detrimental to receptionists, reception staff. They have loads of other stuff to do. This stuff is really important because you're paying for these calls. You're paying for these calls to convert them into consults, which in turn convert them into a treatment start or a high-end sale, high-ticket sale. And you can do all this with simple call tracking solutions. There's one called What Converts. That is great. And the big one is Call Rail. These are the 2 that I use all the time. There's 3 or 4 others do just the same thing. But what my biggest experience is What Converts. That's the one I use probably about 80% of the time. The reason I like that is because it tracks the call from when they start ringing. So you can hear how many rings it takes for the call to be answered. And then it records the call as well. So you've got how many rings it takes to get the call to be answered, and what that person says on that call. Are they selling correctly? Are they being courteous? Are they being put on hold? All these things can be seen within these 2 softwares. Google and Facebook, Google tracks the call, but it tracks the call and the call duration. Doesn't track what's said. There's no recording. Whereas these 2 tools, they record the actual call. So what you can do weekly with your team is you can go over these calls. So what I used to do every 2 weeks was I'd go through all the leads and I'd listen to all the calls, and then I'd prepare a report on what happened on those calls, which person on the team is best suited to doing this, and which person, frankly, is being lazy or borderline rude or abrupt. And again, this is the easiest way. For $97 a month, not to me, to these companies, for $97 a month, you can track all these things and you can work on them and you can tweak them. So if you go through these calls once a week with your team or every 2 weeks, you can say, well done. You can say, great job. You could say, could do better. But it's vitally important, and this is the area for biggest growth. I mentioned in my previous video, I dealt with one company and they just put every call on an answer machine, and they rang some back. They didn't ring them all back. I had another client a couple of years ago, it's a jiu-jitsu studio in Dubai, and I was getting them 100 leads a month. Really good. And they were using some tracking software. It didn't track calls, but it tracked the leads from start to finish. It was body something, and it was basically for gyms and these sorts of studios, martial arts studios. And I got them 100 leads, and the owner of the company, very nice guy, said these leads are rubbish. And we went through all the leads, and none of them had been called back. They'd all been put on an answer machine. One One of them went through to a sale, luckily, and they paid something like $1,000 for a year's subscription for themselves and their daughter, or their son and their daughter, something like that. And that's what the ad spend was. So luckily that did work, but the rest of the calls just weren't being answered, and they weren't being followed up. And he didn't know this. He thought it was my fault. And we had a solution, but it didn't track the calls. What we could do was track outbound calls, and none of these numbers were phoned back. So he's paying me, he's paying call tracking software, and 100 leads, only one sale. Should have been, I'd say, about 20 sales. But as I said, people that are answering the phones, if they don't have to answer the phone, they won't. A ringing phone can become the norm in these types of operations. Use some call tracking. Really use some call tracking. What converts? Call two great solutions. Meet every week or two. Go through the calls. As I said, if you use What Converts, you can just see the phone number, the time it came in, and there's a little play button. You just press play, and it plays from when they dial the number. So you can say, right, these calls were all answered within 3 rings. This number of calls went to answer machine. This is in working hours because it showed the time. Why is it going to answer machine during working hours? Set someone up with their own phone, and on that phone, their own email that handles these things, and that's just their job. It will really, really improve your conversion rate from lead to consult to sale. As I said, it costs $97 a month. I really think it's worth your time. Try it. Try it for a month. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Can't say enough good things about this. Thanks for watching. Bye.